Hello Pisces, this is your March 15th to March 31st, 2017 read. For the main read, I'm using the Bonfire Tarot again by Gabby Angus West. And for the support cards in this reading anyway, I'm using the Romance Angel cards by Doreen Virtue. I'll be honest, a lot of times I just, whatever pops into my mind or whatever seems like it's, that was appropriate. Right there. So, I decided to use this deck here. And I've got the Lover's card, the Knight of Cups, the King of Cups. There's a bit of love popping up right here. Okay. So, as I always say in these, I think most of these videos for Pisces, I usually say that, I am a Pisces too. This is interesting. Your overall energy is the Eight of Swords. There's only one other card I'm looking at here that I'm kind of not sure if I really enjoy what I'm seeing here. So we'll have to see how it plays out with the rest of the reading, but this makes me feel like you're kind of just, you feel dependent on somebody else's response. Kind of like you can only put yourself out there so much. It just feels like you're waiting to see how they're going to react, and that's why you're feeling this way, because you feel kind of stuck, and like all you can do is wait. You can't force an answer. You don't want to walk away. Like you just feel like this is where I have to stay to see how this is going to work out. Kind of like in a holding pattern. Kind of like a jet that's circling the airport, waiting to land, doesn't have enough gas to go to a different airport, wants to land but has to wait for its turn to land type thing. It's just, that's kind of how it feels like. I'm waiting, and it's really uncomfortable, and you don't really want to wait, but it just feels like you have no choice. I'm also kind of feeling right off the bat that you might be waiting for somebody who doesn't feel the same way you do. I feel like you're putting yourself out there for someone whom you have intense feelings for, but the other person, I'm not really feeling like they are reciprocating the same level, at least. But I feel like you're putting it out there. I feel like there's something, you're remembering something from the past. I feel like you were closer to this person in the past, and you're kind of seeing the opportunity come around again. I feel like you may have been together in the past, and you may have reconnected in the beginning part of this time frame. Depending on when you're watching this, this may have already happened, where you may have already reconnected with them in some respect, where you feel like, there's a chance for this to go somewhere. I feel like for a lot of you, last time this came around, you tried to make it work out and it didn't work out. And it took you a while to let it go. But now it's coming around again, and you're like, well, maybe this is the time. Maybe now's the right time, because there's feelings on your side, definitely. You're feeling a charge here. And I feel like you're putting yourself out there, and you're trying to see if this is going to go anywhere. I feel like you're kind of blinded by your feelings, in the sense of like you're seeing something that really, I don't feel like it's the same. I feel like the other person kind of just went with the moment, and they enjoy you, but I don't feel like they're feeling the same way you're feeling. Yeah. I feel like they're holding back something. I don't feel like they're letting you know how they truly feel, but they're just kind of like stepping away in a sense. This is weird, because I feel like they communicate with you after this reconnecting, I feel like they still communicate with you, but they're not really expressive of how they truly feel. And when you're seeing this, you think that, if I just keep talking and, maybe get a chance to see them again, maybe this can go a little farther. I feel like that's where you are. You're trying to, establish roots here. You want something to grow from this. You really feel a lot for this person. But the other side, I feel like they're still in the same place they were before when this first came around, and they're not. I don't feel like they're feeling it. I feel like they might communicate with you. They might reciprocate some communication, but they're just considering options. I don't see something isn't right on the other side here. Either they're not seeing the opportunity. I feel like they're either not seeing the opportunity or they don't really want to. I feel like they're not really giving it a chance, even though it might seem like they are. Something about the situation, they're just like, no, this doesn't feel like it's what I really want. Although they'll communicate with you, and I feel like they like some of the attention, because I feel like you give them a very nice. I feel like you're very nice to them, which would not be odd, but I feel like you're very complimenting. You want them around. I feel like you might be a little over complimenting in the sense of really being really appreciative because you're trying to get them to see you again so you can hang out, and you're hoping to establish roots. There's a whole reason. You're trying to build a relationship here. But I don't feel like they're either they don't want to have a relationship at this moment, or they're not seeing I feel like they don't want to go that route. They don't want to start to build anything with you. They're just kind of in a limbo land. Although they like communicating with you, you make them feel good, and they'll communicate with you. And even though you're trying to do this, I don't feel like they do that. I feel like they might be more attracted to you in a physical sense and not willing to get into the emotional, intellectual side. I do feel like once you start pushing, giving back, and over complimenting a little bit, I do feel like you're talking, and I feel like there's certain things popping up here. I really feel like most of you start to see through it, but you try to talk yourself out of it because you're just like, well, that's where it is now, but it can change, and blah blah blah. I feel like you're willing to put the work in, and you're trying to color the picture to your advantage, which isn't bad, but I do feel like it's also unraveling. I feel like right after, because I feel like they communicate back, but you're noticing they're not really, they like it when you talk about them, but they're not really talking about you. They're not so interested in you per se, and that's the red flag. I kind of feel like for most of you, they're not really giving back. And when you notice they're not giving back, that's kind of your cue that this isn't going that direction. But I feel like there's a lot of strength and love on your side. Don't get caught up in the gender of the card, but it's King of Cups. But to me, it makes me feel like you are really trying to go forward with this. You got thoughts of love. You're very forgiving for anything that seems negative. If they're just talking about themselves and they don't want to talk about you, you're like, well, that's okay. It'll come around later. And I feel like you're very you're letting things go. But I also you're I do feel like it's kind of like a slap in the face because you're starting to realize, but you're so into them that you're just trying to make it go forward, but I don't feel like it's really working out. I feel like you're trying to keep things going after this, but it's not really. I feel like it's smoke and mirrors after this part. When you realize, I feel like you realize that they're just kind of into the attention. This situation just isn't going the way I would like it to go. Being a Pisces myself, I'm just I was rathering this go a different way, but I just don't. I feel like they're this is on their side, but I don't feel like it works to our advantage as a Pisces. I feel like they're looking for something else. They're just not seeing. I don't really feel like it's a bad match, but they're just not. They're not seeing it and they're just calling something else in. They're looking other places. I feel like there's other venues. They're looking to date other people. They have other thoughts on their mind. But I'm afraid they might string you along just due to the attention. Okay. So this is on the 15th. I'm thinking, I really feel like for most of us, this is someone who has come in the past. For others, if this is a new person, it's a similar situation where you've seen this pattern play out before. And when those red flags, by the time you get to the red flags, I really feel like, because you notice these red flags, by the time that happens, it's really hard to let go. I feel like you're in it at that point. You have established emotions yourself. Even though the other person's not feeling it, you see a great potential here, and you want to be with this person. It's that point where you got to either, whether it be the same person come around again or just the same situation come around again, you got to like revisit it from the past and just think to yourself, if I could look back at that time, what would I have done different to get over it quicker? Like, should I let go now? Which I'm thinking for most of you, this is a good point just to try to let go. Because I feel like at this point, though, I'm kind of worried. As a Pisces, we're already into it, and it's kind of hard to let go. There's in the beginning part here where you're blinded by love and you're only seeing what you want to see. I feel like that's where the first indicators are coming through, because they're not communicating back that much. That's like the best part to catch it, but I feel like that's going to be one of the harder times to catch it, because you're really feeling good about it. All right. So for the overall, I think the sooner you recognize the pattern, be it with the same person or same situation, it's one of the two, same person coming around again, or this has happened out the same way for you before, you start recognizing the same type of characteristics coming through again. Once you do realize that, I think if you start talking about yourself more and putting yourself out there more about what you want and how you feel, I feel like they'll kind of fall off to the side. That's kind of like, if this is going to work out, you should be able to talk about yourself and they should be into it. But if you start talking about yourself and try to invite them to things you're going to, especially that one, if you invite them to things you're going to and they just kind of like fall to the wayside, or they say, yeah, I'll do that, but when the time comes, they kind of flake out, or, oh, this came up, or that came up, whatever. It's kind of like, this is a real bright stop sign, like saying, this is where you should let go. Because this person, I don't feel like they're a bad person, they're just not feeling it, and they're just not connecting. They're just not into it. But they like how you talk to them, they like how you treat them, it makes them feel good, so they kind of go along with it. And they don't want to be mean to you. I feel like they don't want to be mean to you either, so it's another reason they kind of go along with it. But like if you try to include them into your life, especially, I feel like especially if you invite them to something you're going to, you're going to see quickly how this really matches up. Okay. All right. As a Pisces, hopefully this works out in some beneficial way for you. Thank you very much for watching. If you want reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com, james4astral@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.